Hello Bookish friends, welcome to my favorite video of the year. In this video, I will talk about my favorite books that I read in the year 2023. Like I did in the previous videos of this video series, I will insert the clips that I've recorded very soon after I finish those works. So my enthusiasm and my joy of reading these books would be timely and more on point. So let's see which books made the list of my top 5 favorite books of 2023. And yesterday evening, I finished the first book in the Remnants trilogy, which was called The Keening by Margaret Pinard. As I mentioned many times, Margaret Pinard is a friend that I met through BookTube. And I really wanted to read her books. Made a read along of the trilogy. Maybe I missed because I was in the disaster area. Nobody wanted to join the read along. But if you have read the first book and want to join in the second and the third book, I would be very happy to read this trilogy with you. Anyway, in this first book, we follow the MacLean family, who lives in Scotland, and they earn their living by burning kelp, which is a tradition that was very popular in the beginning of the 19th century in Scotland. The family consists of a mother, her 3 children from her first marriage, and a stepfather and a little child. In the first chapters of the book, the family receives news that they would have to leave their land because the landlord makes a deal with the newly founded British state in Scotland, and they would have to go somewhere else to earn their living. Gillian, the stepfather, and Neal, the oldest son, goes to Glasgow to find out if they would be able to find a new job to earn the living for their family. And the family's struggle to survive and to live in a better condition continues all throughout the book. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the clip, I was very curious about how Margaret would write, and I loved her writing style. First of all, I fully pictured myself in the conditions that the family lived in, and the family went to lots of different places all throughout the book, and I felt like I was traveling with them, feeling the surroundings and suffering and being happy with them because of the surroundings. And of course, the reason that I felt happy and suffered with them was that with the exception of 2 small children, I fully connected with every single personality described in the book. The very delicate connection between a very loving stepfather and their very respectful children was described very, very beautifully. And the matriarch and the eldest daughter were very strong women, so that made it very easy for me to like them immensely. What made the book so special for me was the strong bond between all of the family members, how they went through all of the difficulties completely as a whole family. Because I value my family the most, I loved that aspect of the book. Overall, it was a very emotional and fulfilling reading experience for me, and I gave The Keening by Margaret Pinard a 9 out of 10. I finished the book that I was body reading with Emily at Novel Novels, the latest book in Emily Chronicles series by A.J. Pearce, Mrs. Porter Calling. This book follows the events of the second book. Owner of the magazine that Emmy works dies and leaves the magazine to his niece as a part of her inheritance. The new owner, Mrs. Porter, seems very nice at first, but in time she decides to change the magazine according to her own tastes, which is very, very different from the realities of the war. It's also a disaster for the formula of the magazine that already works, and with the leadership of M and editor of the magazine, Guy, the employees try to prevent downfall of Women's Friends, the magazine. Meanwhile, M, who's living with her best friend, Bounty, have Thelma and her 3 lovely children as roommates. Bounty has a romantic interest which delights everyone after the tragedy that she endured in the first book. And the events in the book becomes more and more interconnected with this new living situation and the problems at work. This series, I think, gets better with every book. In this 3rd book, maybe because we knew the characters from the previous books, I completely fell in love with every one of them. I felt so much emotions while reading the book. As a fan of Bounty, M's best friend, it was great that she was at the forefront of the book in some parts. And most importantly, the character of Mrs. Porter, although she was despicable at parts, was handled excellently. She was a great antagonist with lots of complex characteristics, and I think the audiobook narrator added to the fact that I could completely picture her in my mind while listening to the book. There was a part which I read in metro, and I was completely in tears, and fortunately I had my sunglasses on, and more importantly, reading it with Emily, who also loved the book as much as I did, was great. We had wonderful discussions. Emily is a great buddy reader. Overall, I thought this was one of the best books that I've read so far this year, and I gave Mrs. Porter Calling by A.J. Pearce a 9 out of 10. And I finished my last book of the month, which was Pir-i Lezzet by Saygın Ersin. I read this book for my real life book club. In this novel, we follow the life story of the master of taste from his childhood until the present time, in which he works as a master chef in the palace of the Ottoman Empire, and he devises a plot to bring down the Ottoman Empire in order to rescue the love of his life from Sultan's harem. But we constantly go back in time in flashbacks when he's apprenticed one by one to the best chefs in all culinary disciplines and trained in related arts such as magic of spices, medicine, and the influence of the stars. This book was also translated to English as The Pasha of Cuisine, and I will make a more detailed Turkish video about the book, the plot, and the characters. But I want to say that I loved the atmosphere of the book and also the writing style of the author. It was very pleasant to read an epic historical fiction book that is set in my own country. While listening to this audiobook, I was very pleased that this book was translated to other languages, because it would be great to advise this book to my international readers, considering that I'm not a big fan of cooking. A reader who's much more interested in cooking and the culinary arts would I think love this book even more. But even as a reluctant cook, I could still admire the wonderful connections that the author made between the culinary arts, astronomy, the magic of spices, and medicine. I've learned so many new things by reading this book about the connections between food, medicine, and also the earthly materials that is growing in our world. Plot-wise, I really liked the sort of Monte Cristo type revenge story that is constructed very cleverly. Only thing that kept me from giving this book a 10 out of 10 was the ending. Although I liked the ending, I thought it was a bit of a letdown, considering the wonderfully structured build-up to the end. Overall, I gave Pir-i Lezzet, The Pasha of Cuisine by Saygın, Ersin, a 9 out of 10. And yesterday at the bus, I finished Goodnight, Mr. Tom. In this book, an orphan called William is taken to the rural England at the start of World War II to be one of the evacuated children from London. And Tom becomes the foster parent of William. At first, William is a very weak and very scared child because of the abuse that he suffered from his mother, who's not psychologically well. And as William and Tom become more and more devoted to each other, they form a very different relationship, and William becomes a very different sort of child who is healthy and has more self-esteem. I really did love this middle grade book. It was one of the best books that I read this month, and the bond between William and Mr. Tom was incredibly sweet, and I also learned many things from the time period, how the children were evacuated. It was great to be the witness of the journey of self-development that orphan William goes through. I cried at some parts. They were very, very emotional, and I felt so much for the friendship and also the companionship that William found in his new home. So that's why I gave Goodnight, Mr. Tom a 9 out of 10. The second work that I finished was the book that I was body reading with Gaia for almost 2 weeks, which was also the book that I chose for my series about series challenge, a trilogy that I would start and finish in 2023. The book is Sycthe by Neal Shusterman, and this young adult novel taking place in the future. Age of immortality has happened, and all of the diseases are cured, and also a way to revive a dead person or to regenerate a person to their younger years has been accomplished. However, this immortality brings the problem of overpopulation, and a new kind of institution called Sycthe is founded so that the Scythes would choose random people to kill, which is called gleaning in this world, so that the overpopulation problem is solved. In this very interesting world, we follow the two apprentices of a site, Sycthe and Rowan, who goes through very different journeys during their apprenticeship, and twists and turns do follow them in their journey. Prior to finishing this book, I had not given any book 10 out of 10 this year. And up until 2 days ago, I was thinking that I would also give this book a 9 out of 10. However, the ending was spectacular in my opinion, and also many new clever threads did happen in the book. So I think it deserved my first 10 out of 10 rating. But it was not just the ending that made this book extraordinarily good. The details in the world building, complex plot structure, very three-dimensional characters, and also a plot with twists and turns made this book an excellent read for me. I was really impressed by how such complex themes could be given in such a clear writing style. I really did love the character of Sycthe. I also really liked Rowan. I was also really impressed by many of the side characters and how different they were, although they were all some sort of side. Other than this being an excellent book for me, it was an excellent body reading experience with Gaia. We have done some other body reads in the past. They have all been wonderful body reading experiences, and this was no exception. So I want to thank Gaia for being with me in this really enjoyable reading experience. I'm really glad that I chose the Arc of a Scythe trilogy for my project. So those were my top 5 favorite books of 2023. Please comment down below, have you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video? And what did you think of them? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose a word that I cannot believe that I have not chosen before, which is good. Good means iyi in Turkish, and iyi is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.